Usain Bolt, that's going to be one distance. If it's little Susie, the 12-year-old sprinter, it's going to be another different distance. But the nervous system works in terms of time, not distance, and duration. And so pure acceleration has a very steep slope. So the rate of change in velocity is extremely high. You're going to talk about typically the first 8 steps. First 8, maybe 10 steps. So if we were talking about the hurdles as we did yesterday, pure acceleration basically ends as you explode through that first hurdle. The next phase is transition. So transition is the neuromechanical link between pure acceleration and maximum velocity. Most of the force that's derived during pure acceleration comes from muscle contraction. And so the work you're doing in the weight room, increasing your power to body weight ratio by using muscle contraction, is going to have a huge impact on your pure acceleration phase. As velocity increases, ground time decreases. And with the decrease in ground time, you have to change the strategy relative to force application. And now what's happening is you're starting to use more stored elastic energy. Now, even in the early acceleration, pure acceleration, you're still using the foot and the ankle as an elastic transducer to be able to convey the force that you're generating through your hip and then through your knee into the ground. But once you get up to maximum velocity, we're relying a lot more on reactive strength, being able to get a stretch shortening cycle, store elastic energy, and launch the body through the air. Couple things. Basically what this says is, the bigger the athlete, the more force that you got to apply in order to accelerate at the same rate as a smaller athlete. And so it used to be thought that larger sprinters, taller sprinters, aren't very good starters. Well, that's blown out of the water now, isn't it? And so if your body mass is high, in order to pick up speed, you've got to be able to produce a huge amount of force in a very short time and in the proper direction. And this is just a fundamental thing. And so how can you improve? Well, I could lose weight, and this is, in some cases, if the athlete's carrying a little bit extra body fat, that really gets in the way of good acceleration. But if they have extra muscle that's not functional relative to producing force into the ground, they've got to carry that down the track also. And so really working, if you're not writing the strength training programs, really working with the person that is, that you choose the exercises that are going to develop functional strength and power. You know, looking good on the beach with a big upper body doesn't necessarily transfer over into being a better sprinter. And so one of the things that we've done with several of our athletes is modify their strength training program in order to get rid of some of the muscle mass that they've built up, lifting in programs that weren't really specifically designed for sprinting. And so again, we just see these types of things. Limb length does matter. And even though we've previously thought that it was a bit of a disadvantage, every time Usain Bolt explodes through the ground and gets that optimal range of motion, he's displacing his body 5 or 10, maybe even 15 centimeters further while he's on the ground than an athlete with slightly shorter legs. And so he's actually using his leg length to a tremendous advantage for himself. He's able to apply the force in an extremely short amount of time, go through that required optimal range of motion. And even on the first step, because of the leg length, he's 10 to 15 centimeters ahead of the field, or potentially ahead of the field. This is one thing that we have a course at IMG Academy called the Science of Speed. It's not a workout. It's not a training program. It's not a practice. Our student athletes sign up for this course as an elective. We have Science of Speed 101 and Science of Speed 102. 101 is linear speed. And even the 10, 11, and 12-year-olds understand that when you're flying through the air, you can't push on the ground. And so the important thing about the start and acceleration is you want to minimize the ground time. And this is a huge issue, and can literally save several hundredths, up to 5/100ths of a second in the first step. And so understanding that we want to make sure that we get the foot back onto the ground. I've got a couple clips where we have two people starting against one another. One person's on the ground and pushing, the other person's still flying in the air.